first Wednesday of April. That makes this Lunch Bytes for the Website 101 podcast, the podcast for people who want to learn more about managing and running a website. I'm Sean Smith, your co-host, and with me as always, Mike Mella and Amanda Lutz.
Hello.
Hi.
So today I'm going to start talking about April Fools on the internet.
Yes.
April Fools on the internet, when it first, there's these things where they try and do wild or weird things and fool you into believing it's true. And when that first started happening, it was kind of cool. But now it's just lame and cringeworthy, in my opinion. And
it was never cool.
Perception. It might have been cool the first year it was ever done. But I generally don't like this and try to avoid the internet. But today I went to a site that I look at, photography related, about the camera brand that I use. And it's called Fuji Rumors, which is, it's great. They're actually really solid information, almost never wrong. And, oh, there's a new firmware for my camera. Okay, I'm start reading it and, oh, that looks good. And then it just clicked on me. This is just April 1st bullshit. Sorry, you are not running AI on camera hardware. There's just no way, and no way is it going to prevent me from clicking the shutter button. And I just got angry and clicked away. So yeah, I really don't like April Fools on the internet. It's cringeworthy, and in this case, it was beyond obvious after I got to the second line. I was just like, done. What do you guys think about April Fools on the internet? I mean, Mike kind of hinted at it.
Yeah, I've never liked anything about April Fool's Day. Don't want to have anything to do with it. All pranks bother me. Full stop. That's it. How about you, Amanda?
I am pro. I think that, they're silly, they're fun. I make it a little game with myself to try to point out on April 1st what is the prank and what is not. And my kid, who is now 11, he was super excited about April 1st. And I helped him set up a couple pranks this morning. One on Andrew, one on classmates. So yeah.
Oh, what did you do to your husband? Or partner, sorry.
So we have the Ring. We have it like a doorbell that will announce, like, let us know when people are like walking on the porch and things like that. And Andrew has got all of the notifications turned on. He's very concerned about porch pirates.
Yep.
His level of concern is higher than my level of concern, but that he buys more of the stuff online. He gets more of the stuff delivered. Some of it's expensive. So yes, for sure, being concerned about that. So our kid took an empty Amazon box and put a heavy, almost full jar of no nut butter in it just to give it some weight. And we planned it. And so that as the kid was leaving for school, he says in an overloud voice, I thought he was a little hamming it up a bit, but he was like, "Oh, what is this box here on the front porch? Let me bring it inside and put it on the, Dad, you got a delivery from Amazon." And Andrew comes down the stairs and he's like, I wasn't expecting a delivery today. What is Amazon doing? How come the notification didn't come? How come just all of these things. And he went over and he opened the box and then there was the no nut butter inside and the kid started giggling and ran off to school.
Nice.
So,
nice. So he legit got Andrew?
Yeah, he legit got Andrew.
Okay,
he was
cool.
very proud of himself. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Well done.
My kid has told me about something people are doing for April Fool's Day called joy baiting, which is, I guess it's doing pranks that are helpful for people. Like just doing something nice that they weren't expecting, sort of thing.
A lot of those pranks that the people put on socials that is actually just like being mean to people. I don't like those.
No,
I don't like those at all. But I'm interested in an example of the helping prank
of the joy baiting.
Yeah,
Go.
We did talk about a few. I'm not going to be able to come up with one, but it's like, I don't know. Just a stupid example would be if you don't normally do the dishes in your house or buy groceries, going out and doing that and say, yeah, guess what? I got something like that. Something more creative than that. But that
Surprise!
type of
I vacuumed. I got you.
I'm useful.
So
Let's
maybe I
make
should
that be a
clean
thing.
the cat litter more often.
If it's something that's not expected from you, that's the idea. It's still supposed to be a surprise.
Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Okay, that's kind of cool.
that's
Yeah.
cute.
Any case, I had my little mini rant. I'm not a fan of these April Fool's website things. I hadn't really thought about the whole prank thing in the way that Mike had, but I'm on board with Mike that, a mean prank it's just not nice. It's not helpful, and it just reminds me of high school bullying where the goal is to embarrass and make fun of somebody.
I also think that in this day and age with, post-truth Trumpy type stuff where people just make up their own facts, we don't need to have a celebration day every year where we all do that. I don't know. I realize I sound like a curmudgeon or whatever, but
Get off my
I
lawn.
don't like it. Yeah, exactly. Hey, by the way, before we move on from that rant you said, Sean, I have to tell you, I went for a walk recently at this beautiful trail here in Toronto, Taylor Creek, down near my house, just down in the valley, sort of. And we were walking down, and there was a guy walking up the stairs at the same time. And he had the biggest telephoto lens on his camera that I have ever seen in my life. It must have been
Wildlife.
2 feet long, and the end of it was like at least 8 inches wide. Like it was insane in diameter. And
Yeah, he's
diameter.
he's shooting wildlife, probably birds.
I talked to him and I said, what are you, or my wife did, she said, what are you photographing? And he said, anything that moves, sometimes just selfies. And I was
How
like,
does he do a selfie with that? He's got put it on a tripod and walk 500 meters away.
yeah, that's what he said. I don't know. I was hoping you knew how that worked.
It sounds like at a minimum a 150 to 600 mil lens, but probably maybe even a bigger one.
It was wild. Because we hired someone one time years ago to take some family photos in a park when the kid was young, and they're amazing photos. We still have them. They're great. And she had a telescopic lens,
telephoto.
whatever that is. And she was really far away in the same park. And she's like, you guys go over there and and it looked really cool because things were blurry and whatever. So those things are really great to use, but I've never seen one like that before. It was wild.
Well, that is cool.
Yeah. Anyway, just want to throw
so-
that in. Moving on.
Anyone got something else to talk about? Non-ranty, non-April Fools?
I have actually a tech-related little public service
cool.
announcement. Visual Studio Code has updated its default themes. So there's still the light theme, there's still the dark theme, and they've kept the ones that were the default previous, but they have changed the new defaults a little bit. And I got to say, yes, because I taught yesterday, there were a few students who were confused about what was going on. They actually they thought that they had broken something.
Wow.
And it was because it's the tags were suddenly different colors and the brackets were suddenly different colors.
Yeah.
But it's minor, but again, it just sort of took me back to that idea of, no, you didn't break it. You can't break Visual Studio Code just by opening it. And it sort of reminded me that all of the things that that you don't realize that and just people who aren't curious, who don't want to click around. It's did you not know that you could change the theme, how it looks? And so many of the students were like, no, that's why.
Yeah. Well, I will say though that there are
interesting.
if you're writing code in one of these IDEs and you leave off a closing quote or a closing bracket, it does change a lot of the colors of everything, right? It'll suddenly warn you, oh, wait a minute, this tag is not closed, and therefore I think this other stuff is part of the tag and it's not. So I could see that someone might think, oh, I must have broken something because suddenly everything's a different color, because that's kind of what it does when you do break something. So
I guess I get what you're saying. Yeah.
yeah.
It's just so if nobody has opened Visual Studio Code in the last day or two, Things might look a little bit different when you get back in there. Don't panic, everything is fine. A little tip for our more novice listeners.
Yeah, I think that's good to know. I didn't notice it, but I use a third-party theme, so that's
Yeah.
probably why.
Yeah, that's definitely good advice. On that note, I have something I wanted to talk about. Today, I listened to 2 podcasts while I was walking the dog this morning in a row. First one was Front Burner, which, for those who don't know, it's a great Canadian podcast from CBC. And the episode was called, Is AI Making You Dumb?
Can I guess the
Okay.
answer?
Sure, go for it. What do you think the answer is?
Yes. The answer
Well-
is yes. Brain slop.
Yeah,
It's just making
basically-
you too lazy to think.
From a scientific perspective, the studies are still being done. But yeah, there's risk of that. And they did talk about all the different sort of theories like you just talked about. The next podcast I listened to right after that was the AI Daily Brief, and it was called The Ultimate AI Catch-Up Guide, which is like, he was framing it as if you know someone in your life who just doesn't know what to do with AI, like they're like, I heard of ChatGPT, but I don't know. Point them to that episode, and he goes through what is a model, what is an LLM, all that kind of stuff, right? Breaks it down a little bit. So the 2 podcasts were sort of opposites of each other. Like one of them was like, AI sucks, it's making us stupid, we can't think. And the other one was like, here's how you get started with AI, sort of stuff, right?
This is how
So-
you can become stupid.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So they're both, we should put them in the show notes. They're both good episodes. But
100%.
the thing it made me think of was I recently used AI to help me with a project a few months ago. And it occurred to me that a lot of people don't think that AI can help you to learn new stuff. You know, it doesn't always just, or at least it shouldn't, replace whatever it is you're doing, you know? So an example for me was, we talked last week, Sean, you gave a demo of the app that you sort of created in a weekend to help your photography, as we were talking about. Check that out last episode if anyone hasn't seen it. And I mentioned that I built a time tracking app on my computer. I'm not going to show it today. I didn't set anything up, but it's like it tracks what I'm doing when I'm at my computer. I can write a task in, it detects if I walk away, that kind of stuff. And one of the things that it did in the course of doing that, I use a particular software for project management called GQs. I've mentioned it a bunch of times if anyone's watched the show before. It's just like a task management thing. And what I wanted to do with this app that I built was, when I'm looking at a task in GQs, I want to be able to push a button that will start the timer with a task named after the task I'm looking at in the app, right? So I don't have to type it. I don't have to type, I'm doing this task now. It just click the button, it fires that into the tasks, into the time tracker, right? So I asked AI, listen, here's what I use. We're building this time tracker. Can we do this? And it said, let me look on the internet. It figured out that there's no API available for this software I use. So they couldn't tap into it in that way. But what it said it would do is, you're looking at it in a browser anyway, because it's a browser interface to use this task managing GQs thing. Why don't we build a browser extension that does it? And you can install it. And I was like, oh my God, I never even thought of that. That's awesome. So it made
this is
an
so
extension
cool.
for Chrome. I mean, I'm using Comet, but it's a Chrome clone or whatever. Just built this extension. It says, just make sure you go over the extensions, enable, I don't know, private extensions or something like that. And if it, there it is, shows up, it says GQ's task tracker. And I turned it on, and all of a sudden there's a little button next to every task. And when I click it, it starts my timer. And it was totally awesome. And so that's an example of AI sort of teaching me, like, I'd never even thought about using an extension to communicate with this non-API software, right?
Yep.
So I think that people sometimes give it a bad rap in saying that, oh, it's just replacing all the thinking you're doing. Because I think in cases like that, it might give us ideas. That's just one example. But in our industries, you know, it could give us ideas about how to implement new things that we wouldn't have thought of in our web work. What are your thoughts on that, you guys? Anything?
I gotta say that I had similar experience when I was building my app that, it was giving me ideas on how to do things, and then especially with compiling so that I could put it onto my phone. And I didn't know anything about that, so it gave me a breakdown on different approaches. I went with
Mm-hmm.
one, which I mentioned in the last episode, ended up being time limited due to free compiles. And I told it, look, I'm running out of these things. I want another approach. And then it gave me another approach. And there's no
Yeah.
limit on that except for 300 minutes a month. And I was like, that's more minutes than I need. So yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I learned stuff like that. I've also used AI recently when I'm trying to figure out something in an interface that has some bad UX. Like I can't figure out how to update part of my profile. And AI is like, yeah, you go try this and this and this. And I was like, it's not working. Oh, let's try that. And then boom, I got it. Or one time I ended up having to contact support. So yeah, I think AI can be a great way to collaborate or talk with somebody, like
Yeah.
an assistant that, it's like rubber ducking, where you're
Yes.
talking to something to figure and it just talking about it helps you solve the problem.
Right. Right. On this podcast, the AI Daily Brief with the catch-up guide thing, he described how he thinks of an AI not so much as a tool, but as a partner, like that he
Oh,
works with. And I think I would think of the same way, like almost like it's an intern or something that's, in the same way that you would assign a task to an intern. And then when they do it, you review their work and
Yes.
then kind of say, okay, well, how about we do something different in this part? You send them away again, then they come back. It's not just like go and do this and I'm gonna go have a drink or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think it's a good way to think of it as like a collaborator with the work. And I mentioned a second ago that I worked on this project a few months ago. It helped me build a module to do something in Craft CMS, the CMS that we all use most often. I've never built a module like that before. Like it got me deep into building modules and controllers and stuff like that, and it taught me about the console commands that Craft has, where you can communicate with your Craft, system by typing PHP lines into your terminal because it has these commands that it understands, and you can use those when you build modules and plugins and things like that. Like I didn't know any of that stuff because in the past I just didn't have a lot of time to dig deep into how to build that manually. But now that I have access to this AI assistant type thing, it can kind of show me, look, this is what the docs say, and why don't we try this? And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea, and it's back and forth, and I think it's great. It's a great learning opportunity for people, I
yeah.
think.
Actually, this reminds me of something else. I have a current Craft 4 site that we're going to be upgrading to Craft 5 in the summer. And the site has two custom modules that about 3 or 4 years ago, I paid another developer to do because it was something that was needed, right? Well, now one of the things I was concerned about with updating was like, am I going to be able to get in touch with this developer? Probably yes, but now I don't need to unless AI is unable to solve the issues. But before I do the update, I'll walk through with AI and say, hey, what's involved in making this compatible with Craft 5? Show me, help me make a plan. How are we going to test that it's working? I'll get all this information. I can evaluate it. And then maybe I'll decide that, yeah, well, I'll go with AI to fix it or make sure, or maybe it looks overly complicated, in which case I'll reach out to that original developer and say, hey, do you have time? So
Yeah.
yeah, I think AI is great for things like this that it's been done so long ago, nobody remembers. Probably not even that original developer, but I mean, it's their code. So
Well, and that's I mean, there's obviously a lot more to the ethics of using AI than just it doing your work. Like there's this whole, like in that example, you could argue that guys like that are running out of work because if you can build your own thing instead of hiring someone like that, why would you, And then we could say the same about our industry. There's a lot of people who say, "Ooh, you can make your own website. Almost the first thing I ever hear when people talk about how great AI is to some interviewer on a podcast, it starts with, you can build your own website. And it's like, okay, well,
Yeah,
I don't necessarily
you know,
agree that it's as simple as that, but all those ethical things are, in the water
yeah,
it uses and the data centers and stuff. That's a whole other thing.
I've seen the same thing with website generators, and I kind of on board with it's kind of like what how we think about using things like Wix or whatever. It's like it's if it's simple and it meets your needs, great, but it's not I don't think it'll scale properly for a large resource intensive site. At least
Yeah.
not with the current state of AI. Let's look at it in 2 or 3 years, maybe it'll be better, but I think somebody wants to do what I did with with an app and vibe code it, maybe, but you get what you pay for. That's what I'm going to have to say about that.
Yeah, it's might be better for like, some kind of fun type website that's not real serious and not
Yeah, like a
mission
hobby
critical.
or something.
Yeah.
Not for
Yeah.
your business website.
Right. Yeah. I don't know, but I think a lot of people, like I tried recently, Google has a feature or a thing now called Stitch, which is like a design, uh, AI design thing, website design tool. And I tried it just to see what it does. I gave it what I thought was a good prompt, but it just spit out garbage. Like I would not, I would never use what it gave me. Like it was just your basic card, bunch of images or a hero image at the top. Like it was just like
Just
really,
another
really basic.
bootstrap site.
Yeah, basically. So, I mean, it's a great starting point, I suppose. It's good if you don't have any idea what you're doing, but it's not at all suitable for a
Yeah,
professional
I
site, I
think
would
what's
argue.
going to happen is this we're going to end up ending with a situation like back when Bootstrap was like running the planet for websites. Everything looked like a Bootstrap site because it
Yeah.
was simple and there's a lot of people without much design sense. I include myself in that category. I like to think I've gotten better, but uh, I'll I could see, I want a website. What does AI give me? Looks good to me. I know nothing about design. You know, I can see that we're going to end up with a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I think we're kind of already at that point. I was going through an old proposal that I wrote once years ago, and it had a
Hmm.
portfolio of mine, like of screenshots of previous websites I made. And they weren't very good, but they were very creative in the way that they were like they weren't all boxy grid stuff like you see now. So I
Hmm.
was like, oh, I kind of miss that those days. We could just make. I mean, there's nothing stopping me from doing. I realize that, but I don't. My head doesn't go there now. It just goes to, you know, whatever. I don't know how you describe it. We should do a review of design through the ages sometime on the show and do some
I think
shared
that would be
screenshots.
fun.
That would be fun. We could
Uh,
use the Wayback Machine to get exact examples.
Yeah, yeah, excellent idea. That's great. I'm gonna write that down.
yeah, could you imagine going like you take a look at a popular website today and look at it going every 2 years back or every 4 or 5 years backwards in time until it doesn't exist? That would be
Yeah.
fun.
Speaking of old timey stuff, I was gonna show this video that I showed you guys. Don't copy that floppy. Do you remember that? Do you want
Yeah.
to? Should I show that right now? Did you see that,
Um,
Amanda?
I did see it. I don't know that that's going to be very engaging to our podcast listeners, but why don't we include a link
Yeah,
in the show notes?
it could be engaging to the listeners. This song that gets created
I
could be
guess that's
very
true,
engaging.
yeah.
It's a good example of where the technology has gone over the past 25 years because it's talking about floppy disks. A lot of people watching now wouldn't know even what a floppy disk is.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Anyway, we'll put it in the show notes. It's hilarious and it's worth watching.
Yeah, I remember having to swap floppy disks in the middle of playing a game.
Yeah.
The original Civilization 1 took 5 floppy disks on the Amiga, and in the middle of whatever, I'd have to pull out disk 3 and put in disk 1.
Yeah. I remember that and all the commands, boot, load, boot, whatever, all
Yeah.
that stuff. Those are the days.
Indeed. Well, what do you say
Okay.
we wrap it
Should
up?
we wrap it?
All right, everybody. Thank you for listening or watching us on YouTube, and be sure to subscribe on both YouTube and the podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a great day. Bye.
That's right.
Bye.
Copy! Don't copy that floppy!
Bye, everybody.